let's face it, we have all deleted files in the past that later on we found out we actually needed, or that we plain thought we had backed up and then it didn't. And being smart like we are like, oh wait, I kind of need that space. I don't want to lingering on my recycle bin. We just shift deleted it permanently, or we empty the recycle bin afterwards. It can also happen that you format your drive and then your files are all gone and you forgot to back something up. Now, are those files really lost forever, or are there ways to recover them? Well, yes and no. When you delete them from the recycle bin, and when you or when you just shift delete them, bypassing the recycle bin altogether, there is a chance that you can recover some of them. When you format, it kind of depends. If you have done a quick format of the drive, there is also a chance that you can recover some of the files from there. If you did a full-on format of the drive, like wiping all the slate clean, that chance drops drastically, even though there is still a very small chance, but don't count on it. Now, how do we go about recovering some of the files that you have inadvertently deleted? Keep in mind that there is no guarantee that you can get the files back. When a file is deleted from your drive, it is not completely erased out of existence. It is just marked. It is still in your drive, but it's just marked as non-existent with a zero value basically. Now what happens is that when your drive will want to use that same physical space again, it will write over that section where that file was stored and inactive. So if enough time has gone by, then your drive will probably have used that sector and that file might be completely recoverable. If you act quickly, then it might happen that that section is still not in use again, and it might be able to be recovered. But again, this is not a guarantee, and my explanation might not be completely accurate, but that is the idea of it. That is how it generally works, and that is, how hard drives operate. Now, how do we go about recovering that? Usually, you will need some software to help you along with that. It's not something that's supported by Windows on default, but thankfully there are a few free options or trial options that do the job to well enough without you having to buy the software altogether. I'll be giving EaseUS data recovery using a few spins. Now there is a buy version if you actually want to buy it, but there is a trial version, which is what I am going to try to use to see if it actually can get the job done. This is because usually an application like this is not something that you need on a regular basis. It's more of an emergency thing, and having to spend this amount of money on something that you might use once or twice, I personally view it as a bit of a waste. But obviously, companies have to survive, and developing a program costs money, so I don't blame them for charging for it. But from a user point of view, it is kind of a steep price to pay for an emergency sort of thing. Now, let us start with the free trial. Let's download it. It is downloading as we speak. It won't take much to be done, so I won't bother cutting the video out. So 1 second left. And let us install the software. I will just do all the defaults. Desktop icon, sure, I'll remove it later. And let us install the program. Well, obviously you get some prompt to buy the program, but as I said, I will be doing the trial version, so let us just pretend this is not here. A small disclaimer, the first test that I did with EaseUS, um, it did somewhat succeed, although I was not able to complete the recovery of the file because of it being the trial version. So that is just a small disclaimer that it was not as I expected it to go. I thought that the trial meant a time trial, that you could use it for a few days and before having to buy it. But apparently it does not let you recover at all unless you actually buy the program, which I will not do because I honestly have no need for it. And this was just kind of an exposure piece to let you guys see how it worked and that it was possible. Now I did find a file, as you will see. But anyway, I left the footage in so that you guys can see how it operates, and I'm just sorry for a bit of the anticlimactic finish of it, but I'm not about to buy a program I have no use for. Uh, anyway, it kind of proves the point that it does work, and you can recover certain types of files. Now let's give it a test scenario. Let's create a small text file. It doesn't really matter what it is, just a text file. It can even be empty. Let us name it recovery test. All in caps lock because it is cruise control for awesome. And that way it will be easy to spot if there's several files that are recovered also from past things that I have deleted. I will just type a random message here to make sure that the contents are also recovered. Keep in mind this is an extremely simple test, and if you are recovering videos, music, images, there is no guarantee that they will be completely fine. There might be fragments of it that are a bit destroyed because they were not recovered completely, but this is just a simple test to show you the principle of how it works and how you get it done. So let us, I am good at this typing business. Okay, save and done. And what I will do is I will just shift delete this file. Now it should be completely gone. How do we go about this? We'll need to scan our drives to find the files that were deleted because that's where they were stored at in the first place. Now it was on the desktop, so the desktop usually falls under the Windows drive, the windows where you then select your hard drive, press scan, and it will take about, it depends on the size of your drive and its speed and on your computer's performance in general, but it will take about an hour to scan the drive completely and find possibly deleted files. So I will click it and I will stop the video and I will come back when it's finished. It is worth noting that while the program is scanning, you can actually utilize the program and get the files that it recovers as it goes. Now what it does is it scans all the files in your drive. Now in this case, it will present deleted files and C. C are the files that are currently in your drive, active and not deleted, so this is just a list of what is in your drive. Deleted files are a number of files that have been deleted, but it can still be recovered, at least partially. Now, I have several thousand files here deleted that I could recover, but we are interested specifically in the one file that I created for test purposes. Now, we know where that file was. It was in the desktop. So it will be under users, then the computer name, and desktop. And here you will have files deleted from the desktop. And here it is, recovery test. This is the file that I created and deleted on purpose to test this it's still scanning, so it keeps going back to updating and jumping around a bit. So this is the file that I wanted to recover. So when this is selected, let's just press recover, and here it is. Here apparently to actually recover you need the license. So I am not going to recover, and this kind of cripples the example that I wanted to give you guys. I apologize for that, but here it is. It is recoverable, and as you can see, I actually found a lot more deleted files to recover than I expected. So I apologize for this. It was unforeseen, and but the point stands. It is possible to recover files that have been deleted completely from your computer. Is this something you would like to invest on and buy it for? How much was it again? 50 something dollars. That is up to you, but the point stands that the possibility is there. Second program I will test is Recuva. Now this one, as opposed to EaseUS, is a free program. You do not need to pay to get it. There is a paid version that has a bit more customer support and things like that, but it does not force you to pay to actually recover any sort of files. You can download it at filehippo.com/download_Recuva, and which is what I will do. And I will install it. I will not install it on camera to save on screen time, but I will let you guys see how it operates. Now, when you first start the program, it will give you a small pop-up wizard, and it's basically to help you get to where you want to be faster. Now, in this case, next, what type of file do you want to recover? So it will only recover for files with that extension, that sort of extension, let's say. Now, if you can also search for all files, but obviously that probably takes longer to scan and stuff. But let's go for that because, well, it's a document, but let's go in that aspect. It'll also ask you if you know where the file was. Again, this is to help narrow down the search so it will be operating faster. Well, I know it was from the recycle. Actually, no, it was not. So it was not from the recycle bin. I just shift deleted it. So I will press I'm not sure. Now you can enable deep scan if you could not find it in the first go, but I will go with the normal quick scan to see what happens. As you can see, it's scanning a number of files, analyzing a number of things. Unlike EaseUS, it seems like you have to wait for it to actually finish before doing anything. So I will do that. I'll stop the video and I will show you guys when it's actually done. Now that the program has finished scanning, it has given me an enormous list of things that apparently have been deleted. It is not very easy to navigate, I'll give you that, but it does seem to be in alphabetical order, or at least you can sort it, I believe, by alphabetical order. Indeed, you can. You can see the path name. I will actually make the window a little bit bigger, or just maximize it, why not? And as you can see, you have the file path where it was deleted at first. Here's the EaseUS that I just uninstalled. It's here, as you can see. It has a comment saying that there was no overwritten clusters detected. So it was not written over by the hard drive yet, so it is fully recoverable in this case. Now, another part of this video is trying to actually navigate and find where that text file that I did for test purposes went. If I switch to advanced mode, I can search by file name here on top. So if I type recovery, let us see what it tells us in terms of recovery. We are looking for, I forgot what the name was actually completely, but it's something recovery, and it should be a text file, so .txt. What if I write .txt to search for all text files? It is not as easy to navigate. I will give that to EaseUS. They have a bit more friendly interface. Another way of trying to find it, I guess, is to actually narrow down your search to places where you think that the file was. So if I sort by file path, I know it should be on C/users. Now I cannot seem to navigate to the file that I was intending to look. So let us give it another go. Let us try something else. Let us try the deep scan. Now, after a lot of struggling and scanning and changing settings in the scanner, I did come up to a point where it gave me a few items that I had deleted from the recycle bin, only from the recycle bin, mind you, and I can actually semi-identify what they were. They are episodes of a series that I was watching. I will, for the sake of, hopefully it won't be a copyright problem if I show 5 seconds of it, but I will, for the sake of showing you guys that it does work, I will recover a few of these. As you can see, the name is completely random. The only way that you can really recognize what it is by the size and the last modified date, I suppose. As you can see here, the lights are all green. That means that they are in good condition and they were not overwritten yet by the system, so there is a good chance that it can be recovered. Now let us pick one of them. I will recover checked, because that one is checked, and I will recover it to a different drive than the drive I am using right now, and that's the drive that they were in, because that increases the chance of success. Because if you are writing that file to the same drive it was deleted from, there's a chance that as it writes, it will write over the same sectors where it was originally on. So it's always safer to write it to a different drive so that that does not happen. Now, as you can see, it recovers it pretty fast. A little prompt to upgrade and all. And now, as you can see, here is the video. So let's start it up. And as you can see, it is working. Not the best image, but as you can see, the video is working. It is the program did its job basically. Now, my critique to this is it is very, very difficult to locate one specific file that you want. And even then, there's no guarantee that it will that you will be able to find it, because I could not find the test text file that I had prepared. Uh, because of the fact that they are all renamed, it's a very, very difficult thing to find one text file in thousands of files that this program found that were available for recovery. One text file that is like a couple KBs and there's nothing that distinguishes it. It's difficult to find one specific file. That said, this does prove that it is possible to recover files for free without paying for example, EaseUS. Uh, Although EaseUS does seem to be a lot simpler and easier to use, but it's a hefty price tag for that convenience. As well as here, as you can see, these are all green. It could happen that they were all rather yellow. That means that the chance to recover it is even lower. So there is that to keep in mind. This was one of the few exceptions where I do a lot of takes for a video, because this was very difficult really to film. There were a lot of issues, like I mentioned, with actually scanning and getting Recuva to find the files that were recoverable. The ones that I've found that I thought were the right files that I was looking for, the test files that I wanted to target specifically, uh, either I could not find them at all because it's a massive amount of files, or when I tried to narrow down the search, they would not appear at all either. So it is a complicated issue, and again, keep in mind, I do these videos from the general user point of view. Sure, I could be digging around in the files for several hours. I could look into forums and all that, but from a general user point of view that has just downloaded the program and is trying to figure it out and how it works to recover some file that he needs, it is not easy to navigate. It is not very simple. In that aspect, I have to give EaseUS the trophy that they did make it a lot more user friendly. On the other hand, it's expensive. This one is free. It has its disadvantages. So there's both sides of the coin for that, and it's up to you to decide if the price is worth the ease of use, or if it's just going to be a one-time use, or maybe if the file is not important and if you miss it, you can live without it, then I wouldn't spend the money. But if it's work-related things that have consequences if are lost or something, I would go for the EaseUS program, to be honest. There was a third program that I tested. It was not very effective. It did recover the files, but recovered them in a way that they were not usable, and video players would pretty much crash on opening, and they were, well, basically not usable. With that program, I could find the files that I needed easily, but it did not recover them. So was it a problem with the file that had already been overwritten? Unlikely, because it was a test file that I made a few minutes before, and I was not writing stuff to the disk in the meantime, at least not much. So that one was not really great. Another one that I briefly saw, and I did not feel like it was worth recording, it was Shadow Explorer. It lets you basically browse through different snapshots that Windows takes of your system, and kind of associates it with the data that is in the background inactive, which is what happens when you delete a file. It's not immediately erased. Like I said before, it gets into a state where it's there, but it's not accessible until something writes over it. And Shadow Explorer taps into that. But I have to say, I did not get amazing results either. It's very easy to navigate and find the files, but again, when it came to actually recovering them, they were also not usable. Now, Hekuva was usable, as you saw. It opened the video, it played it, it did not crash the player. It seemed to be working completely fine. I didn't want to play too much because of possible copyright issues, especially what you hear these days with the whole story with The Verge and the copyright strikes and all that. So I'm not really fond of playing with that right now. But even though this is kind of a case of fair use anyway, but yeah. Anyway, EaseUS is very easy to navigate and to use. Recurva is free. So there you have it. Those are the main advantages for both of them. I was not able to test EaseUS as far as the effectiveness of the recovery goes, if it actually recovers it in a usable condition or not. Because when I try to recover, it gives me, like you saw, the message to upgrade to Pro. So it is a bit difficult, and this video was not as successful as I expected. I was wanting to get a specific file recovered. Uh, I found that it was difficult to do that because of the whole renaming issue, that you cannot find the file easily. And I was wanting to also test EaseUS's actual function and not just the search and browse function. So yeah, we are limited by what the programs let us do with the trial version. As you can imagine, yeah, I was not about to buy a program solely for the sake of testing. Maybe if this channel ever grows massively big, that's something that I will consider. But in the meantime, no, that is not something I will do because there's more important things than testing EaseUS, to be honest. And at least you get an idea how it works and how user-friendly it is. So I hope that this helps you guys recover some of your lost data. Uh, I know it's not going to make it a lot easier because it's a bit the Hekuva is a convoluted program that's not easy to use, and that's probably what most of you guys will end up trying to use because, well, it's free. And like you saw, it does work to an extent, but if you want to recover something in specific, it's difficult. You have to first struggle with what filters you need, otherwise you get the whole massive list of thousands and thousands of file. And then you still have to locate the file that you need. And honestly, if I were to give my opinion, I think the best way to do it in hindsight is by either, well, there's always the location, but that's not always, because as you can see, yeah, recycle bin, but it's not really clear. As you can see, the last date modified is there and the size is there, and that is, and obviously the file format. So those two things are probably what you need to go for, because don't even look at the name other than the file format, because it's not going to lead you anywhere. So those are my few hints for you guys, because it's not easy, like I said, not easy to navigate, but it does work. So if you're in a pinch and need something back, give it a try, although the success rate is limited, let's say. This has been Ethic PC Guy. I hope it was somewhat helpful. It was not as helpful and straightforward as I hoped, but it is something. It's a start. Maybe it'll get you something back. See you next video, and keep your file safe.